mucus-free. We are 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 mucus-free.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the special edition of Mucus-free Life podcast, where we are going to be talking about the Professor Arnold Ehret Day celebration, which tickets just went on sale today, and you can click that link and come join us for this monumental event. And there's a secret that I'm going to reveal right now, which is this is the last time we're going to do the Ehret Day this way. So if you want to be a part of history, be a part of this particular format that we've done since 2018, where we have speakers and food and all this kind of stuff, then you're going to want to come out this year. Come join us. And let me show you our wonderful flyer here that I put together for this year. We have some wonderful guests. Eli Martyr, who's really a great speaker, and love his videos. He's got really great videos. It's on what it's like eating a lot of fruit and living fruit, and he is in the industry, in the movie industry. He is a stunt man and athlete, so it's gonna be great to have him on board. And as long as he doesn't run into any issues at the border, because there's been some issues, I can't even talk about it on this platform. I'll get deplatformed. I'll get another strike if I even explain why we might have an issue with getting him across that border. But if you know, you know. But as far as we can tell, we're not going to have any problems, and he's very determined to make it. So we're going to make that happen. And then we got our good friend Johnny Gonzalez is going to be on the program and talking about something completely different. He was there a couple years ago and talked about mucus-free fitness and did some working out and kinds of stuff with us. But this year, a very serious topic. We're going to be talking about the evil machinations of the Child Protective Services in the United States in particular, and how you can protect your family from these folks that are coming in here and just taking kids away just because the parent accidentally uttered the word that their child doesn't drink cow's milk, or their child doesn't eat dead animal flesh. And that is then given, there's these entities in the state that then come in, and if you're harassed, or if the next door neighbor doesn't like you and they call and say, there's so-and-so, we've seen them abusing this child is not eating hot dogs, this child is not eating cookies, this is child abuse, please come and take their child away and then do what with them. It's a really sad situation. And since Johnny had been on the podcast, he has really come a long way in terms of just his studies and his understanding of what to do in this situation, how to protect yourself from this. Those of us that's in this lifestyle, that practice a mucus-free diet, what you need to be doing to ensure that you don't end up on the wrong side of one of those stories, because there's so little awareness of it. It's hard to get, unless you're famous or you have that type of reach or a lot of resources. It's hard to get millions of people to pay attention and to put pressure on these gatekeepers that are there to make no mistake, make a lot of money for whatever the state is, whatever's going on. There's a lot of money that's being made doing that. it's just an issue that needs to be dealt with, that needs to be discussed, because then somebody would come up and say, well, there's circumstances where their children are being abused and they need to be taken away from their parent and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's a discussion that needs to be had, and a serious discussion, because I'm just not into the state doing a whole lot of that, that kind of stuff. And that, that's me. But when it comes to the targeting of plant-based parents, and especially any of them, if they're outspoken, if you talk about veganism or raw veganism or something on your or heaven forfend the Mucus diet healing system on your social media platform or your Facebooks and your Instagram and that stuff, you make yourself a target of some of these entities that want to come and have no interest. I mean, we're talking about psychopaths that you can't negotiate with them based on human emotion. That's not the way that you're going to get anything done with true sociopath, psychopathic kind of entities and the people that are behind them. So that's something that we're going to really get deep into, and I think will be a great presentation. And this is a little something from last year, a little picture down there at the bottom. This was our Sunday where we took a group picture, and this was the picture where we're like, everybody make a funny face. That ends up being the picture that it gets used. It seems like, anytime they're like, all right, we're going to do the goofy picture. And let me see here. I want to make sure that you can all, okay, that everybody can hear me good. All right. So yeah, but this was a lot of it's just been a lot of fun over the years. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of resources. Until you start putting on events like this, you might not realize how much stuff actually costs and what it takes to, you flying in speakers and getting a place to do the presentation. And then over the past couple years, I mean, I'm getting turned away. I'm like, look, us, we're trying to get bigger and better. And so I'm going to hotel. I'm starting to like, okay, let's maybe upgrade and get into like a hotel conference center, or, that type of thing, some conference, those, conference centers and that kind of thing. And none of them can, they all may almost always demand that you use their chefs and their food, and they ensure you like, oh, we'll get you what you need. And there's no, yeah, I'm sure he can read a book on veganism before he can, it's like, okay, that's strike one. That's for us. And then number two, none of them could guarantee that there would be no requirement of a face mask, of a muzzle, of a slave face covering, that because they're just like, well, if the state says, then hey, you got to do it. Wait, well, can we get our money back if that happens? Well, no, that's not gonna work. So we just ended up not even getting calls back. Like we went down, went down and was like, just with all the good intentions of like, all right, we're growing, we're gonna do this, we're gonna, the next level. And you go down and we're meeting with these hotel people, and and they're and I made the mistake of probably just even telling them what we're about. It was like, look, this is what we're doing. And we end up they're like, oh yeah, we'll give you a call, we'll let you know how much, all that. And then we didn't hear nothing back. But I'm glad the spot that we're gonna be at, which is called the Wild Goose Creative, that is I'm really excited to have the Ehret Day celebration there. It's just a really like hip spot. Like it's going to change the dynamic from, we did the shelter house lifestyle over the past couple years. We did, the first year was in my backyard at the Spears Ashram in Columbus, Ohio. Then the following year we went to the Whetstone shelter house. Then we had our shutdown year, and then last year we were at the Antrim Park shelter house. And so now we are going to be in a It's actually an art gallery / event space. It's got a nice stage, got some good audio in there. And so really looking forward to going there and just having a little different atmosphere than the past with the shelter houses. It'd be good to have a stage and on all that good stuff. And so what is going on, everybody? Cro-Magnon says hello. Well, hello to you, Mr. Cro-Magnon man. And let's see. And we got a Facebook user, because for some reason the Facebook privacy doesn't always show the person's name. He said we have to be careful about what we say and who we say it to. It's not only for the food. Yeah, I mean, this is a rough time in history, and it for those that are awake. This is almost like that period right before it's like all in a movie where you get that like the end of the third act or right before you go to war. It's like it looks like everything's falling apart. All of the heroes are out of it, and their friends are been captured, and someone's being tortured and kidnapped and all this kind of stuff. And then there's a perseverance period, and like we're entering into that period where this is going to separate the men from the boys and the women from the girls, and we're going to see who's serious, like who's really serious about this lifestyle. You know, when you don't have no guardrails, you know, you take off the training wheels, as it were. That's the era we're in now. This is we're moving into something really, really deep. And so, yeah, I had to delete 25 videos from YouTube, and these were, some of these videos were well liked. They had a lot of there wasn't people in the comment section complaining about, oh, these views are so. I mean, imagine that I could come on here and I can say words and I can show images, and that's scary enough to threaten to have my whole channel that I've worked on for 15 years or something, that I've had the channel that I've worked on for that long, to threaten to take that away just because some words I'm saying is kind of scary. Because I'm not on here cussing a whole lot, or, you know, I don't talk bad about a lot of people. I might criticize someone time to time, but I'm not on here like some folks that are cussing people out and, you know, getting, you know, that kind of hatred and that negativity. Do I shine a light on pus and mucus based society and call out behavior that is based on the eating of pus and mucus forming foods? Of course. But, and I guess that's enough. If I was on here, if I was like slaughtering some animals in my room and had a little barbecue and showing everybody how to barbecue, how to kill your own pig and barbecue it here in the room, like that would be acceptable. That's cool. Like, no, don't worry about that. We don't have to censor nothing. That's all good American fun. But you know, don't criticize these totally illegitimate entities. You got to be joking me. The CDC is what? Like, what authority? What authority that literally has the amount of authority that people perceive it and give it, and that's how people got duped, and people got just totally bamboozled, and people. This is the era of happy slavery. That's what I'm officially dubbing this time in history. Is this is the happy slave era. People, because anybody that's out here that they're the government has our best interest at heart, and anybody that's putting any kind of stock and soulless and you better let's go vote, let's get these bums out of there. Like anybody that's in that type of mindset, and it's like, it's better safe than sorry. Put on the face mask, because like, man, this is a happy slave era, boy. This is some of the happiest slaves since good old Uncle and and Sambo and the cats back in the day, man. It's some enthusiastically happy slaves, and man, it is sad. It's really sad to see, and so I'm just we are not happy, and we are not slaves. We are not gonna go down that road and go down into that old messed up. And the thing is, like, I'd be off of these platforms if it wasn't for the fact that there is still an ability to reach out, like I'm talking to you right now, and have these conversations and expose this information to new people. I'm so done with these platforms, this whole Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. And let's see, my man Johnny, who we just spoke about, is going to be here at the Ehret Day celebrations. Amen to that description. Explains why so many vegans are falling off the wagon. It's getting real out here. Yeah, that's been something that I've been talking about, maybe making a video on that, and then I'm just like, it's there's a lot of and I predicted that a couple years ago. We were going to see a lot of the former vegan movement, like the I'm a former vegan, and I feel compelled to tell you about it. I gotta make, for every video I made telling people to stop eating meat, I'm gonna make 5 videos saying you need to eat meat. That was terrible, and it's like, and chronically every time that happens, what is the reason? The reason is almost always based on lack of transition. And there's a particular person, I ain't even gonna mention his name, and that Johnny, that me that through Johnny, we were trying to tell this cat, like, bro, you need to like transition or your thing is gonna end very ugly. And he didn't listen, and his thing ended pretty ugly. And so it is what it is. This was one of these situations where we plead with people, read the book, read the Mucus Diet Healing System book, check out the transition diet lessons, but hey, sometimes folks have a problem just reading the book. They want it like fed to them in some way other than just reading the book. And Julie says, hola from El Salvador. Hola to you, Julie. And let's see. Again, the Facebook user, not sure who said that, but said, yeah, you and many others give me a lot of hope in these times. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And, I try to be that, just be some kind of beacon of light in this insane situation that we found ourselves in. And we have a question: is alcohol not acid forming? Like, no, I mean, alcohol is not what you want to put in your body. It was definitely put in that acid forming category that's gonna just inflammation, toxic. You don't want alcohol in your body. And when you clean yourself up to a certain degree and you try to go back and like drink some alcohol, and it's like burning you, it's just burning your throat on the way down, and your old throat and your stomach is just sore and this stuff. And then you realize real quick, like, oh, okay, this has nothing to do with the human body. Like, the body is never supposed to ever have any kind of alcoholic beverage. That just is, that comes out of humans that have gotten divorced from nature and feel horrible, and so they want to try to alter their state. We get all this as Brother Ehret likes to say, the junkies, or just we're junkies that want to constantly try to alter our state because we're not calm in our bodies. We don't feel good because and people think like, well, no, I'm getting all my protein and now I feel great. And it's like, well, okay, well, let's take your coffee away, take your cigarettes away, take your take your meat away. Oh no, but I need my protein, but take the stimulus away and the weed and all this little stuff. And and you had some really unhappy, depressed people that are not comfortable in their own skin. And there's a reason for that. It's not like it's not about reading a self-help book and trying to mentally get yourself into some other space or some religious text or something like that. You have to clean yourself up. You got to clean up the vessel, remove that which creates the anxiety internally, the imbalances. You have to do that, or some of the mental things can only take you so far. I sometimes look at some of the guys. There's like the NLP, some of the folks that created that. It's like they could try to create a thing for mentally, but it only takes them so far, because physically strokes are happening and heart attacks are happening and all these things that these otherwise fairly brilliant guys could have, if they would have got this piece together to get their physiological thing happening, then they could have avoided a whole lot of pain and suffering. But and that's always a fascinating dynamic when you see some of the most brilliant people that you're just really intelligent, really smart in a conventional sense. And you would think, wow, this person is really going to understand the mucus diet and they're just going to get it. And you share it with them, and nope, not close. They do not get it at all. And I did that just in university and being around a lot of PhDs and professors and things of that nature, and folks that can be brilliant on whatever subject or topic that they have dedicated their lives to. But when it comes time to eat, they're eating like adolescents, like they're trying to keep up with this little cheese and these little meals and all these little free meals that the academics get. And it's sad. Let's see, here's a question. This is a common question: why some people are iron deficient even with normal B12 levels. How do you get it on your diet? So this is going to get into the nutritional theories that we just don't agree with. Now, there's a lot of different opinions about all this. This is probably one of the most controversial things about us, the mucus diet healing system practitioners, and the direction that we come from. And I actually want to make some more videos about this to get into the history of the calorie theory, the history of the protein theory and the B12 theory, and all of that stuff. The sugar as a bad thing, we'll get into all that in some future videos. But basically, first of all, it's like, okay, well, as soon as you start getting the test, and this isn't medical advice, but this is just an observation. It's like, okay, well, why, like, who's telling you that you're deficient in something? There's the difference between, like, diseases they're not real to the extent that they could be named anything and they invent them on the fly. There's thousands more diseases today than there was 100 years ago, not because those particular expressions of pain and suffering and human bodily degeneracy didn't exist. They just hadn't named it yet. They hadn't defined it yet. They didn't know, or they redefine. And so when you get in and you're playing that game, then you're already at a disadvantage. Now, the only thing that is real is symptoms. And so symptoms that are associated with said iron deficiencies and the B12 issues and that kind of stuff generally point to weakened endocrine glands, particularly adrenal glands. And that's something that I've dealt with and worked with a number of people, and found that when we would focus, and those are things that I don't always talk about a lot of that stuff here on this channel, because that some of those methodologies go over and above a little bit the standard mucus diet healing system book material, which is what I try to just drill into people's heads. But when you know that, if you know, like, okay, because usually people start getting those symptoms and then they don't know that, like, just something as simple as, okay, because there's no doctor that's going to tell you you have, weak adrenals, and all they got for you is whatever the antidepressants and the different things that they give you if you start having panic attacks and anxiety issues. They just have drugs. They don't have a therapy, that kind of therapy stuff. Maybe there's one that'll try to send you someplace to like a meditation retreat or something. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you got the endocrine system and the adrenal health, and that's that. And but yeah, I wrote a piece on the history of the B12 theory. That's another one of these sadistic experiments on dogs theories, where they develop theories of the human body based on torturing animals, and dogs in particular. And so it's how to get in your diet. We just don't think about it like that, because so much of this idea of you got to get this, you got to get that, you got to supplement this, supplement that. We're finding that the cleaner your body is, the more optimally it is set up, and the cleaner, that you can go long periods of time breathing without the need of, let me supplement this, let me get this, let me get that. And so that gets, that's that. We just, and I know there's some people that go and they'll experiment with supplementation, and like, well, let me try this and that, and then you see that there's nothing that's long-term viable about that. You can't, you're not gonna do that forever. Or I guess, they'll keep taking your money if you go and you get these, you try to find you little iron supplements and B12 stuff, and you can see, oh wow, my symptoms went away for a short period of time, then they come back because you didn't deal with the source, which is adrenal issues generally. You might have some thyroid issues or whatever, but don't want to get too deep into all that on here. And this is a very common question: what kind of water do you recommend? So we're pretty simple. We're distilled water people for the most part. Just distilled water. We get the gallons of it. You can get the home distillers are actually pretty cheap now. They're starting to get reasonable. Back in years ago, they were not. They were very expensive to get those home distillers. But yeah, we are. I'm into the distilled water. If I find a reputable spring water, or if I live near a really good clean spring that I thought I was in Switzerland or something, and I had some spring water right out of the spring in Switzerland, and that was like some of the best water I ever just had. Just tasted ridiculously good. But yeah, we just distilled water. You just cut out all the mess, and just keep it real simple. For people that are concerned about remineralization, you can take a little bit of lemon juice or something and squeeze it in there if you want. But yeah. Let's see. Anna says, any advice on how to get rid of salt addiction? So first and foremost, you do want to definitely cut down on using it as much as you can. You can get some of those salt, like there's the Mrs. Dash, and there's those kind of things. If you find something that you like that tastes pretty good. I'm a fan of dulse, using you got like the sea vegetables. Dulse and kelp are both pretty good at that. You can get the kind that you shake in, but I like the leaves. If just dulse leaves and putting that on top of whatever the thing is, and Yeah, so dulse and kelp. That's one way to do it. And then, but as you just start to, if it's really hard for you at first, and you just, well, the other side is too. Oftentimes, when you really have a crazy craving for salt, that's again, there's some weakened adrenal issues to potentially take a look at, and so that's a little more advanced kind of thing to look at. But just in terms of the mechanical overcoming the salt addiction, just start using less of it. And if you can't get rid of all of it right away, start using a little bit less, and then eventually go some days totally without it. Go without it, get the dulse in there, and yeah, then as you clean yourself out, and you're also, if you're getting your lemon juice and distilled water enemas are going, and before you know it, you're going to not want salt anymore. You're not going to crave that. And so but yeah, it can it can be tough for some people to overcome that addiction. But you definitely want to get off of that salt, because as you get yourself cleaner, you'll notice the negative symptoms of having too much salt involved, because you either wake up and you're so dried out, and just like really really dried out, or headaches, or notice your lymphatic system is just kind of stuck, it's not really moving like it needs to be. And so yeah, salt's definitely something to get away from. Let's see, Karen asked, what do you think of digestive enzymes and kombucha, even on a high raw diet? Same thing as with other supplements. I asked because a 40 years raw vegan pioneer just said she recommends only because we live in hyper hostile world, and older folks like her. I could show let me see if I can. Older folks like her, 70s and 80s, need extra help. So this is where the mucus diet healing system practitioner and the raw vegan enthusiast can sometimes will sometimes have to part ways, in terms of the way that we how we weigh different things. And so for me, it's I they'll say that, okay, well, because you're eating all raw, but we're not having enough enzymes, it's harder for the body to process that, especially as you're getting older. So that means it's okay to supplement, throw in some enzymes, throw in some whatever. Our perspective would be, we would rather see somebody cook some mucus-free foods, bake some zucchini, or make orange squash, or make some steam, whatever. We'd rather see somebody eat cooked food for an extended period of time. There's no rush. For us, there's not this like rush, like, okay, we got to get raw as quick as possible. And I know doesn't make raw folks happy, folks that are really into that. We want to see people get as mucus free as fast as possible. And as Ehret says, as I say, not all cooked food is created equal. And the whole purpose of cooking it is to make it more digestible, and to make it be more, have better eliminative properties, to bring out the elimination properties in certain vegetables that otherwise you shouldn't eat raw. So some of the vegetables that need to be cooked, that you really shouldn't eat raw. There are people that are eating those type of vegetables raw, and then they're wondering why they're not having natural bowel movements. Their digestion is messed up and that kind of stuff. So I find that I'd much rather see somebody have some cooked kale and green leafy vegetables, and even baked sweet potato, whatever, anything in that. None of us just eat that by itself. It's all, if you're practicing the mucus diet, you're always combining that with a big raw salad. The majority of what you eat is raw, but we don't think about it like that, or at least, like, those of us that are a little more mucus diet purists, we're not thinking about it like that. We're just practicing the system. And part of the system is the combination of cooked and raw, mucus-free foods. And so there was I one of the first people that I ever worked with that was had been a raw foodist, had been a raw vegan for a long time, but they were really, we don't like to talk about weight and use the word underweight, but this person was a little bit underweight, was pretty uric acidy, pretty acidic. And I didn't even know what kombucha tea was. And this person, well, I was in a store with them, and they showed me this. They were telling me about this kombucha tea. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, it's like a mushroom kind of tea. I'm like, that doesn't sound good, but so she got some of it and opened it and took a drink, and she was like, here, try it. Like, I smelled it, and I just immediately, oh hell no. I was like, no, you don't. Why humans? Why we always want to drink nasty, like rotten? It's just rotten mentality. Like we need more rot. That's what that sounds like to me. We need more rot. They're gonna be like, no, it's living. It's living foods. I'm like, that's rot. It's rotten. That smell that. It smells like beer. That's rotten. That's not like, just go juice some grape juice. If you want some liquid, go juice some apples, or if you don't want to juice, then just eat the raw fruit or something. But what is that about? So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the kombucha tea thing, and definitely not the getting in where some people are using enzymes like every day and in the raw spheres and stuff like that. It's just like a fundamentally different paradigm where I love to see people being mucus free and raw, but that's incredibly hard to do. That's like there's some years that you got to get to where you can really do that for extended periods of time and comfortably, and that's not something that I put pressure on anybody to feel like they need to do right away. I like to see people practice the system. As you have the mucus addictions come up, you deal with them using the different tools that we have, the transitional mucuses, as I sometimes call them. But yeah, no, not a fan of that road. Like I said, I'd rather see somebody just deal with the food, use the food, as much as possible. There are circumstances where an enzyme could help a certain situation or something like that. Yeah, there's a few of those, but in terms of people that are using that stuff just like every day and that kind of stuff, or drinking I'd rather see something that's a little more in line with the mucus diet would be like the vinegar-free sauerkraut, something like that. If you really, really craves rotten food and just wanted that kind of fermented type of vibration, then I would go in that type of direction, the fermented cabbage or whatever. But not a huge fan of really any of a lot of that stuff. I went through a period where I was using that a little bit, the sauerkraut type of thing, but never a long time, and I just like the fresh fruits and vegetables, and to me, even when you cook it, for me it's fresh when you cook it properly. We're not boiling anything it's for hours. It's not like some of these these soul food where they take the collard greens and they're simmering the collard greens for 5 hours. It's like, no, we're, steam it for 2 minutes or so, just, it's quick, just enough. It's like you want to cook the vegetables just enough where it's still firm. It's not supposed to be mushy. It's just like it still has that firm quality that then kind of helps move things through. And see, Karen says, okay, thanks. Yeah. And see, CC says, transition time is gold. Very important. Yeah, just transition is everything to me. It's just like the most misunderstood, under talked about dynamic. Everybody likes to talk about like what they're eating and what you should eat and what we're doing like today. And it's like, man, I want to know what you did. Like, what was the last time you ate meat? Like, what'd that feel like? Like what was the circumstances around that? What was or if you had been off meat and then you relapsed. I want to hear about the relapses. I want to hear about that. That's the transition story. And those are the realistic stories that everybody has. And I see a lot of like raw vegans when they talk, they don't like to talk about that story. Those stories, like those last times that they had pus and mucus forming foods, the last times that they had to cook food. But for me, that's like, okay, because that's going to tell me a lot about the potential longevity if you're going to be able to sustain. If you have enough of a transitional mentality and you just don't want to share it, but you actually practice that, then I can say, okay, well, you'll be somewhat successful doing what you're trying to do, versus the person that we didn't name, that I'm not going to name earlier, that didn't have a successful time because this was somebody, trying to fit into the dogma, and and really felt, just felt as if they really have to share that, that like, this is, I'm fitting into this and I'm 100% raw, I'm eating nothing but fruit and all this kind of stuff. And then, now that they've fallen off the wagon, they're just really excited to show their raw liver meal and, just all this madness. And, so someone asked, Angelina, do you not eat any fermented? So not now. No. I mean, I haven't had any fermented food since having that sauerkraut, which was like years ago. It was 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, no, I'm just not a fermented food person. I avoid vinegar like the plague. All vinegar and white vinegar, apple cider vinegar, doesn't matter to me. I'm not into the vinegar. I really took that to heart out of the Mucus Diet Healing System book, where Ehret talks about that just vinegar is, there's no need for it. We have lemon juice, use lime juice, lemon juice, whatever, if you're making something. And vinegar is just so cheap. It's if you're trying to buy something, if you don't want to make it fresh and you're trying to buy, if you're in the beginning of your diet, or you're trying to buy like a dressing or something, there's only for the past 20 years, there's only been a few store-bought vinegar-free dressings that you can even find. And so that's been kind of tough. And I think that's just because it's so cheap. And because that was one thing that I predicted that didn't really, I could say maybe came to pass a little bit, but not totally, which was that they would start selling a lot more vinegar-free dressings. I thought that would be something that would catch on. And there's definitely more today than there was in 2002, but hardly anymore. And even ones that are made, they don't sell them in the store. Like, you have to buy them online nowadays. And so, but yeah, no, not a fan of fermented foods. I like and that's showing you those differences, because I'm not a big fan of dried. Like, I don't have dried food all the time. So I know a lot of raw folks are into, you got your dried food, your fermented food, your, all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. Like, I mean, if and folks find their groove, and a lot of those folks they're just not the Mucus diet, because a lot of those folks will be eating plenty of mucus, whether it's from an avocado or some kind of, nuts and seeds or nut milks and, all this kind of stuff. That's fine. Like I say, hey, that there's plenty of worse ways to eat. But my thing is when it doesn't go well after a number of years, and people wonder, they're like, why am I having problems, or it doesn't feel sustainable? That's when you have to kind of humble yourself, come back to the Mucus Diet Healing System book, read that, and realize that steam steamed broccoli is not going to kill you. You know, steamed like this steamed cauliflower is not the end of the world. You know, and so it's definitely different, and there's it's definitely no little difference of opinion and things there. And let's see, and also go back to again Ehret Day celebration. Get your tickets right now, and they are going fast. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. I know it's already up there on some places, but if you don't see it in the chat, you'll see it down below. We also got Mama Tafari gonna be in the house sharing her wisdom. I mean, she's just got like 50 years of Mucus diet healing system practice experience, and just like a real humanitarian. People like to use that word like, oh, with the politicians and people, it's like, oh, humanitarian. It's like, nah, this is like, if you want to meet a humanitarian, then come and meet Tafari. That's like a real humanitarian. And and that's the quality. That's the folks that come to the Ehret Day celebration. That level of human, because we, of course, we're not perfect at all. We're trying to figure this thing out, and we try to, do the best that we can as recovering pus and mucus addicts, and in this, trying to become human again. But it's definitely, it's definitely on a different level than any place else that you're going to go when you're talking about the, just all the mess that's out there. And let's see, what's going on, Rachel? Hope everything is good with you. And let's see. So lots of insanity out there, Song Sparrow. Yeah, it's based on pus and mucus poisoning. And that's the one message. If I get nothing across ever, I want to start really making that a point to put that out there, that where we just had, there's a numbers, look at all these mass shootings. We got the mass shootings going on. We got cops still, of course, murdering unarmed Black people, unarmed people in general. None of that is ever going to change. You can't pass some legislation. You're not going to, get somebody into office, some great person. You're not going to change the political and socio-economic kind of structure and have anything change as long as pus and mucus eating is at the foundation of your society and of your nation or of your world. It's just, it doesn't matter. You can pick and choose whatever little social thing or political system or anything that you think that in theory, on paper, on the books, this will be this idyllic, perfect kind of situation, and you're not going to get, you're not even going to be in the ballpark of that. I mean, as long as people are eating pus and mucus, because that the behavior is directly connected. And now, does that mean that our behavior is always perfect? Well, no, but we're not. You're probably not going to open up something and see us, going and murdering up go to some event and there's thousands of people, and we're trying to do that, and we're now hopefully we don't end up on the wrong end of a traffic stop or something like that. But it's rough. It's a rough situation. But until people start to, because like we say, look at all these people that have been doing the mass shootings, and take a look, and then just ask what were they eating? That's the only relevant question. That's the most important question. What were they eating? And as is customary here, we can't get away without without a little. Let's see here. Wait a minute. Oh, here we go. All right. So yeah, so I just typed in mass shooting, and so we'll look at this suspect, and I'm sure pretty sure he's not eating fruits and green leafy vegetables. And who else we got here? This guy, I'm pretty sure whatever he did probably wasn't good, and he's certainly not eating fruits and green leafy vegetables. And it's and it's like, this is real. All of this chaos, when people say this is a warring planet, this is an eating planet first. Before the war came the improper eating. Before people decided to take up arms and take up spears and make a fist and throw an elbow, somebody ate something that they were not supposed to eat, not the other way around. So the planet, in my opinion, it's not inherently warring. It's just that the humans have nothing else to do but fight, but be in a war stance, in a space of scarcity, because of the decisions that were made. So all of this drama, everything on here could totally be eradicated and eliminated if humanity was to get in line. Does that mean that all drama is going to be gone? Of course not. There's going to be and we're on the transition, and so there'll be some disagreements, there'll be some drama, there'll be some maybe a little yelling here and there, and might have to cut someone out or something like that every once in a while, or no one's over here acting like we're holier than thou type of thing. But when you're talking about, but there's levels to this thing, as the kids like to say, and in the level, and when you get to this level of chaos, this level of insanity, this level of pure just annihilation of the human soul and spirit, man, you're talking about the dead animal flesh, the eating, the dairy eating, all the processed food eating. And then somebody would come and say, well, years ago they didn't do all that, and they did a lot of bad things, and they were eating pus and mucus. And you talking about whether you're talking about folks who used to all the different history of torture and all that kind of stuff. It's all pus and mucus based. That's is pus and mucus based. And what's this shooter? All this, yeah, because you think is this guy fasting? Is he doing lemon juice and distilled water enemas and eating eating fruits and green leafy vegetables? Not quite. How about these guys? These folks look like, and it's alleged, because I don't know all these different, well, a couple of the cases we know, but I haven't researched every one of these pictures. I'm just saying, we can do we can do a facial diagnosis, as you learn to do on this path, and I can tell you that there's not a lot of apples and oranges being eaten here. There's a whole lot of Taco Hell and Burper King or Murder King. You pick which one you want there, and McDoo-doos. That's what this represents. That's what this is all about right here, is the true degeneracy of humanity is first and foremost based on the eating of pus and mucus forming foods. And whether you're dealing with the with these guys, the brothers, the daily shootings that the young people are doing on the street, you're talking about a level of constipation and just being so uncomfortable that they don't know what else to do. It's just great. That's it. That's grab a gun and eat some Burger King chicken sandwich and a quarter pounder and go shoot somebody and smoke some weed. It's like, it's this cycle of addiction where they have no clue what it feels like to be at peace, to even have a frame of reference. Like, what does that feel like? Because they're growing up in these environments and these spaces where that's just not given a chance to feel that. And and to clean out. I'm sure, this guy, he looks like he's been eating a lot of fruit, vegetables, I'm sure. So that has to be understood and really nailed home, because I just get frustrated every time. I'm just so sick and tired of just seeing the news and everybody's like, oh, there was one bad apple. It was just it was just an isolated incident. And, and people want to say, oh, well, what should we do? Let's take away the guns, or let's more checks, more psychological analysis and resources for people. It's like, man, until we get serious about the removal of pus and mucus forming foods from the diet, and whether that, and at this point that has to come from consciousness awareness, and those of us is going to be, kind of the last people standing, because all of these folks aren't going to make it. This is going to be put in the dustbin of history. So this is not sustainable. But and those that choose to go down this road, that choose to go down the pus and mucus free type of road, and then create a legacy for themselves down that road by way of children, and passing on the experience and the knowledge and the good health vibration, then that's how we're going to change humanity. It's not gonna change at the ballot box. It's not, and I'm somebody that I love to protest. I have a history of being out there, and I love just kind of putting the middle finger up to any, just illegitimate forms of power all over the place. But that's also not going to be the way that this thing goes down. That's not going to be the way that we get to any kind of peace and tranquility. We are, those of us that get it are just going to have to come together and just clean ourselves up as much as we can. And then, then, like I said, this stuff is going to phase itself out, and the last folks standing. And then there's going to be generations that'll come and look and see, like, well, what are they doing? Because they're not shooting. They're not doing mass shootings. They look kind of happy and peaceful. Like, somebody's going to want that. Not everybody wants the chaos of the, sort of the mainstream media chaos, the kind of stuff that they try to condition you to live a certain way. Had these big, the club lifestyle, would get the clubs and go and drinking all the expensive alcohol, and go to a club and pay $20 for a drink kind of thing, and VIP treatment, and just this whole kind of mythology and thing that they've created just to keep people subservient. That's what I'm saying. The happy slave. This is the happy slave era. This time period in history are the most comfortable people right now are the happy slaves. That's just, if those are the folks that are just enjoying themselves right now. It's just comfortable. It's like, man, if you enjoy, sort of genuflecting and, averting your gaze, like them kind of people, like, them, they come in front of authority figures, and they you kind of look down and bow a little bit, or, kiss the ring, and that whole subservience, and, those that can't wait to wear the face mask. Like, they want to bend over backwards to be as compliant as they can be. I live to comply. And so it's like, so you want me to give 4, 5, 6, 7 shots? You want me to do it like within 24 hours? No problem. I mean, they're those folks, and And as you can see, I'm not happy about not happy about those folks right now, because they put us in this predicament where people's liberty is being just annihilated. People are being totally just taken out, and around the world, whether you're talking about what just happened in Australia, and what's happening now in China, and just other places where with the lockdowns, people are trying to act like that didn't happen, just going about, going along with their lives like, oh, it's, everything's great. And now we're getting back. Or that was like nails on a chalkboard to me when somebody was be like, I think things are getting back to normal now. We're getting back to normal. It's like, man, there ain't nothing normal. Ain't nothing going back to normal. They know, the folks with their hands on the levers of power, they know how easy it was to terrify the majority of the people, and to require them to jump through so many hoops, and just to go get in that cell. It's for your own good. It's gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. Get into that cell. There was so little backlash. There was so little uprising. And so that's when I was like, okay, that's not gonna be how this thing plays out. We're not gonna we're not gonna. I was super disappointed, because I'm like I said, I come out of the old, reveille, rules for radicals type of history. And man, that ain't gonna work right now. There's way too much, because and the people that are most likely, that tend to be the type of people that like to protest and that kind of stuff. They're some of the most happiest face mask slaves that there are. It's like, yeah, we're gonna have to definitely enact a whole different plan, which is what we're doing. And we can't talk a whole lot about the details of what we're doing, behind the scenes, because they those in the levers of power would definitely not like that. They wouldn't like our plans at all. And so but if you want to hear about some of those, like where we do talk about that, is in the privacy of the Ehret Day celebration, because those are the folks that are just the most serious of doing this work of transforming the world, transforming society. So and wherever you're at, I know that the times are hard and that kind of stuff, but hey, we got people that used to that showed up with that just did whatever they needed to do to get to the Ehret Day celebration. They take a bus, and they hitchhike. I mean, we got that type of vibration where it's like people just they want to get there, because when you plug in here, it can last you for the whole year. Just that one plug in for those couple days when you come to the Ehret Day celebration, that can that can last you all year. And so that's what you want to that's what you want to do, is you want to make it down Ehret Day celebration, get your fix for the year. That's the plug-in. I used to talk a lot about the importance of the plug-in. We use that term meaning to connect with other people, other like-minded people, connect with other practitioners of the mucusless diet. And when you do that, that helps you do everything else. That can help you, for instance, if you're trying to fast. So sometimes it can be kind of hard if you're just fasting by yourself and you're trying to do whatever. But if you plugged in, and that don't mean that you're hanging out all the time with whoever it is or whatever, but it's kind of hard to describe. But when you plug in, then it becomes this relationship there, this vibration, this that can be very, very inspirational, and not just fake inspiration, not just inspiration for the sake of, like when you go to some of these big like self-help event where they pump you up and they sort of put you in this neuro-linguistic programming kind of days, and they pump you up and they're like, all right, woo, and they get you jumping and you know, all this kind of stuff, and then you leave, and then it's kind of like, oh, it's like, nah, with this we try to, like, you know, plug in, have that real plug in, and then, you know, we got folks that make lifelong friendships, and, you know, that end up plugging in, staying plugged in, creating little, you know, accountability partnerships. You know, we got the meetup in it, which I wanted to invite everybody to. I'll put a link in the description here. But so every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, we have the mucus-free meetup. It's totally free. It's run by members of the community. It's not run by me. And we just come in and just all for like 12 hours, people come in and out. You know, there's like oftentimes this meetup will just last as long as people are in there and wanting to talk. It lasts. It's happening. And so I cordially invite you to the meetup tonight. And you know, it's always a lot of fun. And, you know, Brother Air, he's often there. And you know, and so I poke my head in there, and sometimes, you know, it's just a lot of fun. So I'm gonna jump in today, and because yeah, we're getting hyped up, you know, getting that Ehret Day celebration hype train rolling now, because it's definitely time. It's time to you know, that we're gonna just enjoy ourselves. You know, it's a lot of work. It's tough kind of putting it all together, but you know, it's once we're there, it's like, all right, now it's time to just enjoy ourselves. And let me see, I want to bring up some video. Let's see here. These are images. Okay, so let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, so here's a couple pictures from last year. So we got my man Q here. He was on the case last year, shot a lot of good, which I will be. It's been taking a while, but I there is content from last year that I've been working on and I want to get out. And this was the presentation table, and some of Q's art there, and got Vadim with the clean that ass 2021. Kyrene, me and Brother Air, Stakora, Aqua. There's Anthony there. Let me see if we can find the video. But yeah, so like last year was it was a great, you know, it was a great event. You know, it came together, and here's the thing of me presenting the mucusfreelife.com. I have to find that. I got to find that banner, and the you know, the food, folks always enjoy the food, and this was yeah, Dr. Morris was plugging in last year. So just a little show, a little tease from last year. So we're looking forward to, you know, really having a lot of fun. So, you know, if you're thinking about it at all, I encourage you, click that link, get you a ticket for the Ehret Day celebration, 4th annual. And like I said, things are going to change a little bit next year. There's a few, we have some plans really over the next couple years to do some things and evolve some stuff and do some things a little differently. So this is going to be a special year, because this will be kind of like the end of an era, you know, of a particular of this format. of the Ehret Day celebration. So you definitely want to come and enjoy yourself and plug in. And I definitely give a shout out to everybody that's volunteering. We couldn't do the event the way we're doing it now without the help of the volunteers. And so definitely appreciate that and look forward to working with you all as we get closer and closer to the event. And let's see. Angelina says, I'm in the UK. That's a big hitch, but I hope, right. Yeah, there's a big hitchhike. Yeah, hitchhiking from the UK over to the US. Exactly. But I hope everyone who makes it has a fabulous time. Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, it's gonna go down. It's gonna go down, and have a lot of fun. And so everybody has any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. I probably missed a couple at some point, but answer a couple more questions and we'll probably get on off of here. But yeah, well, I actually had went through a little elimination myself over the past week, I guess week and a half or so. And that was something I learned just watching Brother Air, that it's like your eliminations change. They don't, it's, because people like to say, oh, I've never been sick in the past, such, and this and that kind of stuff. But then you're looking at them, it's like, yeah, but I'm seeing there's some constipation in your situation. That's an interesting. There's some constipation in your situation. That's a spirit quote. There's some constipation in your situation, man. I'm gonna make that's a song title. I'm gonna turn that into a song. But it's the thing is, and I learned from just watching Brother Air, is you want to go through eliminations. You want to, when it's appropriate. You don't want to force it. You don't want to try to force your body into some kind of elimination, but you there's a time and place when your body is going to decide, like, all right, let's do a little spring cleaning, a little summer cleaning. You get a little fever comes up, and if you know what to do, if you know to stop eating and to do some enemas and to lay down and get some bed rest, then it's nothing. It goes away. Things that otherwise kill people otherwise do things that get themselves killed because they had a little fever. They had 101 fever and they're blowing their nose, and next thing you know, they're going in and somebody's trying to put a ventilator on them and give them drugs and they die. Or they're eating grilled cheese sandwiches, and even though they're not hungry, but somebody's like, well, you got to eat, so they're eating all this pus, and then they end up dying, or then they die, and then it degenerates down, and before you know it, they're like, oh, now you got pneumonia, now you're about to die. And it's so unnecessary when it can literally just take a few days. You fast, you burn it off, get some sun, and that's it. And so I've actually been fast. I'm coming to the end of this fast. I fasted about a week and a few days. I know I'm terrible. I don't know how long. I don't really keep track like that. I'm not one of these, okay, I'm starting my fast and I'm keeping track of the days. Like I don't keep track. And so sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, it felt like a week and it had been 2-3 weeks or something. But this one, I think it was just maybe a week and a half or so. And it just was that little elimination came. I detoxed a bunch of mess out of the body, stuff that it just kind of, because you're getting down into deeper and deeper layers of the biofilm, as some folks like to say. You're getting deeper and deeper in. And as you do that over a long period of time, you're starting to get down into waste that has been there for generations in your system. That's deep down into your tissue system, in the reconstruction of your, as brothers say, your bloodstream, or the reconstruction of your genetic code, for people that like that concept. Whatever, however you think about it, it's a transformation, and you put yourself in the position, and there's to really transform yourself, and there's nothing like having the opportunity that your body gives you when you have something like a flu-like symptoms, some of the cold and flu-like symptoms, and when you really know, you're not trying to run from it, you're not scared of it, you're just like, okay, this is exactly what I need to do to just deal with this, get this stuff out, and it's not a big deal. But what do people normally do in society that just makes the situation way worse than it otherwise would have been, which is they take suppressants, they take drugs that just suppress their the symptoms, and that's like the worst thing that you could do, is to suppress the elimination, suppress the symptoms. You want that fever to burn, you want that the cough that is going to warm all that stuff up, loosen up all this dross, and then just expel it, or you get it out of your nose, cough it up if you loosen up, if you got some stuff in your lungs. You want that, but people want to do just diametrically opposed to that, because they're too into the, like I said, kind of the way, the slavery of the day, of whatever they feel like they need to do, that I gotta go do this, or I have this obligation, I gotta do that. It's like, as opposed to, you need the rest, you need to lay down, you need to, and you need to figure something out. And if the way your life is, if it's not structured in a way where you're able to do that, then you need to make that a priority if you're serious about health. And because there's people that's like, well, man, I got these kids and this, and I got to keep, and so when I got sick, it's like, and it's like, when you get sick, you're going through an elimination, and that has to be the priority. And because when it's not, and you decide, like, well, just this, I really got to go to work tomorrow, so let me just take this cold medicine, this Vicks, whatever, some NyQuil. I'm gonna just take this one time, and and it'll suppress the cough, or I'll take some cough suppressants or whatever. And then that is a good way to ultimately have chronic illness down the road. Because instead of the body being able to just eliminate this stuff when it wants to, when it's giving you the opportunity, you ultimately stop that elimination. And then later on, when you're in your 60s or your 70s or your 80s or whatever, later on, it comes back as something that now kills you, that ends up being the death blow. And then they come and say, oh, well, it was natural causes. It wasn't natural causes, because there was nothing natural about taking NyQuil and taking moxapenicillins and all. There was nothing natural about that. But and then it expresses itself later on with terminal illness. And so you gotta have that awareness. I mean, that's real consciousness. When people, talking about, I mean, as is always the case, people will take a term that was started in the Black community, like the term woke, which was something out of the Black consciousness community years ago. That I first heard years and years ago. Mainstream is taking that and just totally degenerated the whole thing of what that was supposed to mean. They have just totally annihilated that term, whatever that was, where it used to be kind of a, like, hey, I'm woke, it's just like, now that they totally messed that up. And the only woke, the only being awake, and then the real consciousness is being conscious about what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your body. So many of these people are 100% unconscious about what they're choosing to put into their mouths and their body. and the poison, that they're being required to take, or you lose your job. And we got folks. There's some folks that are like, they got you. They were like, well, I'm going to get fired if I don't do this procedure, and so they did it, and then hopefully they were okay. They weren't part of the percentage of the people that had some pretty bad reactions. But and who knows if we're out of that, and I probably shouldn't even be talking about that on here. Stupid Facebook or and YouTube. But you've got to have some resistance. You got to stand for something. This is about, like we say, the most revolutionary thing that you can do is learning how to control what you put into your body. There's nothing more revolutionary than the mucus diet healing system, period. I don't care what you're into, what you think, like, well, this is more advanced than the mucus diet. I'm eating cleaner, I'm fasting longer, I'm doing this. And all we do is we sit there and we're like, okay, cool story. Because then what ends up happening is sooner or later is ugly falling off that wagon. Those people with that type of attitude fall off the wagon, and then they're now they're following Liver King and trying to getting into the, I'm gonna coin another term today, and I want to make a whole video, but I'm gonna call this bro nutrition. You got sort of the Joe Rogan bro nutrition, like, hey, bro, come get your keto diet, bro. You just come on over here and you take this meat, man, and you no carbs at all, like none, like no carbs, and you just take this meat, man, and you just eat this stuff, man, and you just get totally buff, and you go work out real hard. It's like, and you get all your just total protein to the max, dude. Like that, man. I'm so sick and tired of hearing these dudes, but there's this ascendancy of that out there. I'm seeing that there's this that's sort of like this like late 20s, kind of early 30s, just kind of like, guys in the, they got their little nutrition degree, and they're like, yeah, the keto paleo thing is where it's at, bro. And and you can go and then they're into the supplements, and they got all your supplementation and this and that, and it's like, that's on a path to nowhere there. It's like that's letting people, it's like, look aesthetically pleasing to other pus and mucus eaters for a short period of time in their life, then that falls apart. And then behind the closed, as what brother were talking about, the behind closed doors, they're like, they're like, hey, that anabolic steroid, like, hey, check this out, Zag, performance enhanced. It's like that whole thing is not the direction. That's not where it's at. That bro nutrition. I'm so sick and tired of hearing just the stupidity that's coming out of that. And they try to break things down like it's real scientific, and, well, you get your ketones and you're going to get the full ketosis and this and that and that. And, and this, it's like, man, y'all, until, you're not. And then was like, then what's next? I was like, oh, heart attack, stroke, colon cancer. Like, oops. Like, yeah. Liver King, that dude, I need to make some reaction videos of him, man. He's a trip, man. And it's just it's a movement, and people like that's that pop culture type of vibe, and people enjoy that kind of like, oh, I'm serving my whole family nothing but raw meat, and we're even, shots of egg, of raw eggs, and, that whole kind of thing. And it's just, good luck. That's like, hey, my thing is, I'm gonna let y'all do that. You guys go on that side of the road and do that. And, I'm gonna stay over here, and we will like let this little drama play out, because that thing is not where it's at. And I've worked with enough people that had already been down those roads, to to know, like, yeah, that generally ends in the inability to digest food properly at all, because you're talking about this level of acidosis in your gut, especially when you have people that go back from eating plant-based, the fruits and the green leafy vegetables. Or, well, there's not a whole lot of there's not a lot of us that's doing that, but just the plant-based folks are trying to eat nothing but fruit and that kind of stuff. And then, before you know it, some of these folks are, hanging out. They're taking selfies with Liver King. They'll be like, "Hey, what's up, Liver King?" Eating the liver. Man, it's just, to us, it's, as Ehret says, a tragedy in nutrition. It's all of that's unnecessary, and all of the chaos that's part of it is unnecessary. But it is what it is. It's got to play itself out. There's always going to be those figures, like the Atkins diet type of stuff, and the paleo, and and just all this stuff where they're like, well, this is how our ancestors used to eat. Our ancestors. Then I'm like, all right, well, like I said, take your canine teeth. If you're such a big, strong carnivore, take your canine teeth and go jump on the back of an animal, of maybe a deer. If you think you can chase a deer, jump on its back, sink your human canine teeth into the neck of the deer, and then eat it. Then I will respect you as a carnivore, the carnivore that you say that you are. But when you're out here using tools, using spears, and I mean, there's nothing less civilized than the guns. And you out here killing animals that way, and then you're like, ain't no sport in that. There ain't no subsistence in that, or no, it's like, you don't get no respect for that. Like I said, like, if you can catch a raccoon, good luck. Grab you a raccoon, grab it, and bite it, its neck or its head off. But just even talking about that, you see how ridiculous that sounds, and the kind of conditioning that they've had to do to even get us in a space thinking that eating dead animal flesh makes sense at all, because that's ridiculous. Just the thought of, it's like, okay, if you really need that, if you really need, not the slaughterhouse. That's not, there's certainly nothing natural about that. But if you think you're natural and you want some meat, like, all right, go with your bare hands, or go grab it, get that deer, get that whatever, and I bet you get whooped. The goats, you can jump on. I mean, they need those, like sheep and things, they jump on. I guess you could jump on the back of a sheep and try to, but even then, you bite at it, it's gonna try to pummel you and throw you off and that kind of thing. And so we're just living in such a degenerate era. Like I said, I officially dubbed this the happy slave era, where very little resistance, very little consciousness. This is like that little calm right before the storm of progress. There's got to be a lot of the expression of degeneracy, where that's really at the height. That's what everybody's into, is the more degenerate it is, the cooler it is, and the more acceptable it is. And yeah, Rachel's there. Bro science. Yeah, bro science, bro nutrition. That's what they're dealing with now, and it's getting more popular. So I probably can't show that here on YouTube. I'll probably put it up on Instagram. A friend of mine had sent me a video of somebody that was on Joe Rogan, and he was basically saying that you're not, I forget exactly off the top of my head, but basically like that fruits and vegetables, we're not supposed to even eat fruits and vegetables as humans. I mean, that was his argument, is this sort of like 100% anti any kind of fruit and vegetable, and just eating nothing but meat, I guess. And he tried to back it up with all this like scientific jargon and this kind of stuff. And I was like, this dude is just absolutely nuts. And but yeah, there's a lot of work we got to do to deal with that. Oh, here, wait, I think I just looked it up. It's Paul Saladino, the negative effects of eating too many plants. Yeah, so that's I mean, just pure. I mean, yeah, just straight. You say bro science. I mean, this is just the ridiculousness of this, the negative effects of eating too many plants. And so it's like, hey, bro, man, you gotta get rid of the fruits and the vegetables, man, and just eat the sweet nectar of the blood of the hog and the blood of all of the animals, and get you some roast beef and some raw liver beef. I mean, just I'm so sick of these guys, man. They just and this is what's acceptable. This is what's popular. This is what's promoted. Is that it's high performance. You eat this way, and man, you can work out all day and do this and this and that. And it's like this is. I mean, you talk about just things that are do a disservice to your brother human being, trying to, the fact that some kid is going to watch this and stop eating. You'd be like, hey mom, this doctor guy on here just said that vegetables are bad, then too many plants are bad and I shouldn't eat. Because I mean, it said eating too many plants, but I mean, this dude, if I remember, I mean, he was basically just like you don't need it at all, and he's trying to make this like nutritional type of argument that you don't need the plants, and you don't need. It's like, man, I mean, these type of people are really, it's like a death sentence for some people, for really toxic people. And that's a straight death sentence, man, telling them to don't eat fruits and vegetables. And of course, not all vegetables are created equal. They don't have that kind of nuance to separate the white potato, from the sauteed kale or the steamed broccoli or something. There's that kind of nuance doesn't exist. They're just like, they're putting everything in one basket, like in the one thing. And it's, yeah, that's going to get some people hurt. that type of guy on here is definitely going to get some people really, really hurt in the long run. Even I mean, it even had Joe on there. Joe Rogan was kind of like, what? Wait, hold on, what? Real? Like what? Like, I mean, you even had him, who loves his meat. He's really into that whole mindset. He respects like the guys like where Rashad Evans was on there, and he kind of was like, he was also kind of like confused a little bit, like, what, you don't eat any meat at all, and you're just came out of retirement and you're winning MMA. It's like that forces them to sort of respect it on that level. But these guys are dangerous, man. They up here like, don't eat any vegetables and fruit. It's like, it's the sign of the times. I wonder if this shows up. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I've enjoyed this quick session. Again, I want to let you know that the tickets are available for the 4th annual Professor Arnold Ehret Day celebration 2022. It's going to be here in Columbus, Ohio, July 30th through the 31st. And we have a wonderful lineup of speakers for you. We got Brother Air hosting. We got myself. I'm going to get into some real serious discussion about how as mucusless diet healing system practitioners, the kind of relationship that we need to have or should have with the medical industry, with healthcare professionals, with and particularly health insurance. And because even though many of us are gonna, we don't go and frequent hospitals and doctors, that's not the case for all of our family members. And so when you have family members that are in certain circumstances where now you have to go and you're talking, they're in a hospital, they're in an emergency room, and you go and you're talking to doctors and you're talking to this, and you're trying to make decisions if you're in that position as someone that's related to someone that's in these places. There are some best practices that you definitely need to adhere to and deal with, because it can get really nasty real quick in there, particularly when, for instance, if your family member, if they decide they're not going to pay a bill, as everybody thinks like, oh, I have, everybody says they have great insurance until they actually have to use it. And then all of a sudden they thought they had great insurance. Now they're not going to pay for a $30,000 bill. And what are you going to do? And there's a reason why 60% of all bankruptcy in the United States is medically related. And so, and it's huge. It's the majority of bankruptcies in the United States are based on medical bills and hospital stays and operations and that kind of thing, most of which could have been avoided if got on the path early enough of changing the diet and didn't listen to bro nutrition guy and to avoid fruits and vegetables like an idiot. That's what I'm gonna be talking about, is how to navigate those waters and sharing some things that you would not think about, that I didn't think about until I had to go deal with this situation. And so as mucusless diet healing system practitioners, that's like, it's important for us to be aware of and to really to know, we can't just ignore that, like that industry and that reality. And which for a while I was just like, man, I don't even deal with that. That don't have nothing to do with me. I ain't been a doctor in 20 years. I don't deal with that. And but no, there's some things that you got to be aware of, especially like I said, if you're dealing with family members, and then that's gonna complement Johnny's discussion when he talks about dealing with the children also in that sphere. So those are going to be some really good and important discussions. And then of course we got Eli, who's gonna discuss the physical fitness, just one of the just at a really high level as an athlete, just how to be for people that really are interested in that and the importance of the physical movement, just being at a really high level as an athlete. That's going to be a really interesting discussion from Eli. And of course, I'm sure he'll show us some of his feats of some of the things he does is like out of this world in terms of physically, the things he's able to do that's part of his job. So that'll be fun. Then we got, of course, Takora, who's going to be talking about some a really deep discussion. We're going to get into some spirituality and some stuff, and how that really connects with the practice of the mucusless diet and the mucus-free lifestyle. There's a whole philosophy and different kind of interpretation of mythology and world history that comes out of that we don't talk a whole lot about publicly, because it's there's a way that you have to deal with that kind of stuff. It's kind of out there for some people, but uh, it's definitely a way to look at the world and reality uh, differently, that comes through a pus and mucus based filter, or a mucus-free filter, that Ehret filter. When you take some of the things that Ehret talked about to its logical conclusion, if you just, as a thought experiment, you just look at it as, okay, he said this, let's see, like, well, what would that mean? What would be the logical conclusion of that? What would humanity, like, how did we transition into this condition that we're in, eating the things that we're eating now? How did we transition from fruit eaters? How did we transition from breath eaters? There's a lot of stuff you can get into there. And so that's something that I think Decorah is gonna do something along the lines of just gonna whatever it ends up being is gonna be mind-blowing and opening. And that's what you need, because that helps when you're practicing the diet, is challenging yourself mentally, challenging your belief systems, challenging, that was something that I love doing that on this path, where I've studied all kinds of different religions, all kinds of different philosophy. And that was just challenge my reality, challenge the way that I thought, the way that I would learn. And you don't have to necessarily study everything I studied or do that, but just that act of investing in your education while you're cleaning yourself up, because it's different. When you're studying these things, you're reading some of these books, there could be books and things that you read before you start cleaning yourself up. Then you go back and you reread those books after you started practicing the mucus diet. It's a totally different experience, totally different books. You're picking up on all kinds of new different things and stuff like that. And so that definitely is something that I encourage everybody to do, is to study and to have an open mind as you do that, and to critically think. The critical thinking, there's a lot that you can do just sitting and contemplating, the art of contemplation. That seems to be this lost art. A lot of people aren't into that right now. They're into parroting what other people say. So they'll watch some bunch of videos and then they just say whatever that person says and that kind of stuff, but they're not incorporating and living these lessons. And that's something I encourage you to do on this path, mucus diet. You got to live these lessons, live this stuff. And let's see. Trey says, pure Prospera. You rock, man. Well, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that most definitely. So so finally, again, hit the first, hit the like button and the share and all that good stuff to help get the word out about what we're doing. And I do plan on putting out some more videos over the next say a few weeks, couple months. I have some new content that I've been working on, so we're going to get some things coming your way. And definitely encourage you to sign up for the 4th annual Ehret Day celebration. And we're going to have a lot of fun. It's just fun just to connect and plug in with other like-minded, serious practitioners of the mucus diet. And like I said, you get that connectivity, that plug-in is very important. And you can use that for the rest of the year. That you get that one plug-in, and then for the next year that can just sustain you. It's like food. It's like the real food, the plug-in. And also in about 10 minutes, the mucus-free meetup will be starting. And so I just put a link to that in the chat. So I don't know if there's not a link for that in the description, but there is in the chat. So join us there. If you sign up for that, then we'll have a lot of fun at the meetups. And that's a good place to just get community support every week. Just come in and check in and you can say what you've been doing, say hi to everybody, and that kind of thing. And it's a great thing that we started a little while back. So look forward to seeing you there. And Lunar says, wish I could sit and talk with you. It's like, oh, come. I don't know where you're located, but come to Arete. That's the place where we do that. We sit, and we, even after the events, sometimes we get together and do some things. The extracurricular things sometimes go down, and so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, definitely. And oh, okay, you're in Amsterdam. I see. Yeah. So maybe one of the years in the future, hopefully, we'll be able to, as travel. Who knows what's going on? I know the air travel right now is kind of weird, and in some places are still not letting you leave and come back, or you have to have a medical procedure to get over here and that kind of stuff. And so it's like I said, a little rough on those of us that have just an ounce of consciousness. This isn't the most fun time to be around, but it is what it is, and we're gonna make it happen. So again, I thank you all so much, and I appreciate the kind words here. Give thanks for this nourishing soul food. I appreciate you for tuning in, Rhonda, most definitely. And yeah, we're just gonna keep on keeping on. I hope to see so many of you, as many of you that are able to make it to Arete. Hope to see you there. And until next time, peace, love, and breath.